was 1991, and the rain fell in sheets as I drove the rented-out school bus down a narrow, muddy back road. The windshield wipers worked overtime, fighting against the relentless downpour. Next to me, Vic sat, smirking and shaking his head. "I can't believe we're hunting a damn monster in a school bus, man," he chuckled, his voice almost drowned out by the roar of rain hitting the roof. "Of all the things we could have rented, you chose this? No armor, no power. Hell, this thing probably doesn't even have decent brakes." I shot him a look and grinned. "You said we needed something big enough to carry all of us and the gear. This was the best deal. Besides, it adds character." He laughed again, but there was tension in the air, a subtle undercurrent of unease. The radio in the bus crackled to life as a local news report came on. It was the same one we'd been hearing for days. Family pets going missing, backyards ransacked, strange sightings in the dark. And authorities still have no leads on the disappearances of numerous pets in the area. Residents claim to have heard strange noises, and some have reported seeing an animal-like figure near the tree line late at night. No clear description yet, but officials are urging caution. I turned the volume down and glanced at Vic. "Think we're packing enough firepower to take down whatever's out there?" He grunted, shifting in his seat to look at the duffel bag full of guns at his feet. "If not, we're screwed." After a few more minutes of winding through dark roads, we pulled up to the house where our three friends, Bray, Hank, and Eddie, were waiting. They were already soaked, standing outside in the rain with their jackets pulled up tight against the cold. The bus door swung open with a squeal, and they climbed in, dripping water onto the floor. Ray wiped his face and shook his head as he plopped down into the seat behind me. "Hell of a night for this, huh? Feels like the perfect setup for a bad horror movie." I laughed, but Hank didn't. He had this way of staying quiet when he was nervous, and tonight he hadn't said much. Maybe it was the rain, or maybe it was the reason we were out there in the first place. The poaching gig was simple: hunt, sell, repeat. But tonight wasn't just a job. Tonight was about something else entirely. "So, what's the plan?" I asked as I started the bus again, the engine groaning to life. Eddie leaned forward, rubbing his hands together for warmth. 45 minutes up into the woods. We've got a cabin rented out near where the sightings have been. The plan is to set some traps, bait the bastard, and catch a look at whatever's been tearing through these farms. I nodded and pressed the gas, the bus lurching forward as we made our way deeper into the forest. The rain eased up slightly, but the night remained dark, with the full moon casting eerie silver light over the road. Every now and then, we caught glimpses of the thick, towering trees on either side of us, their black trunks looming like silent sentinels. By the time we reached the cabin, the rain had settled into a steady drizzle. The place was old, worn down from years of neglect, but it had the essentials: 4 walls, a roof, and a fireplace. As we unloaded the gear, Eddie and Hank started setting up bear traps around the perimeter, tying bait to some of the trees. The rest of us unpacked rifles and walkie-talkies, making sure we had a way to stay in contact. Once everything was set, we gathered inside the cabin. The fire crackled, giving the room a faint orange glow. The mood was light for a while. Jokes, stories, the usual banter when you're out with the guys. But beneath it all was a tension none of us could ignore. "You think there's actually something out there?" Vic asked, breaking the quiet as he stared into the flames. "I mean, the stories go back years. People talking about some kind of wolf man roaming the woods. But all we've got is rumors." Ray scoffed. "Rumors or not, something's been killing those animals. And it's only a matter of time before it moves up the food chain." I was about to respond when the radio crackled to life. It was Eddie's voice, coming in shaky and panicked. "Guys, get out here now." I grabbed my rifle and rushed to the door, the others close behind me. Outside, Eddie stood near the bus, his flashlight darting back and forth. "What is it?" I asked, trying to stay calm, but my pulse was already racing. "Something's out there," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the rain. It was clawing at the windows. I didn't see its face, but it was big. It's moving through the trees now. Without a word, we all climbed up to the cabin's second-floor patio, crouching low as we scanned the woods. The rain had lightened enough that the moon's glow illuminated the clearing around us, casting long shadows that danced with the wind. At first, we saw nothing, just the sway of branches in the distance. Then Hank whispered, "There, by the trees." We all squinted, straining to see, and there it was, crouched low, a shadowy figure watching us from the dark. It was huge, with pointy ears that stood out against the night sky. Its fur, soaked from the rain, clung to its body. But what stood out most was the slow, deliberate rise and fall of its chest as it breathed. None of us moved. "What the hell is that?" Vic breathed, his voice barely more than a whisper. Before anyone could answer, we heard it. A loud, metallic snap that echoed through the clearing. The creature flinched, and in the moonlight, we saw what had happened. One of the bear traps had snapped onto its wrist, its jagged teeth digging deep into its flesh. Dark blood oozed from the wound, staining the mud beneath it. For a moment, it stood frozen, as if calculating what to do. Then, with a deliberate, almost casual motion, it raised its arm and stared at the trap. Slowly, it positioned itself, like it was getting ready to pry the metal apart. I held my breath. Then, in a shocking burst of movement, it yanked its arm back with so much force that we heard the wet, sickening snap of bone and muscle tearing as it ripped its own hand free from the trap. The creature stood tall, staring at the mangled stump where its hand had been moments before. But what disturbed me most wasn't the injury. It was how calm it was. How quiet. Without a sound, it turned and walked back into the woods, disappearing into the darkness as if nothing had happened. We stood there, silent, barely breathing, until Hank whispered what we were all thinking. "Yeah, I think we're done here."